Well, Matthew Perry, Odd Couple, just finishing up the first season on CBS. I just pointed out to you, I've got Jack and Tony right there. Were you a big fan of theirs growing up?
I was a huge fan of the TV show and a giant fan of the movie too. And I was too young to see the play, but I was a big fan of Walter Matthau and Jack Klugman, and playing Oscar Madison has kind of been a dream come true role.
Well, I would imagine because of that, you're a writer on the show and you're a producer on the show, that you want to make sure that everything about that particular character and Felix's character are treated right.
Yeah, I mean, the show really hinges on, then the play did and the movie did, hinges on the chemistry between Oscar and Felix. That's the whole deal. And we got really lucky in hiring a great actor, Thomas Lennon, to play Felix. And I happen to have really great chemistry with him. So the show works and it's funny. And what we've done a little bit more on the new show is use an ensemble cast a little bit more than what they did on the original show. So it's really an ensemble show with us at the center.
Finding him, was that easy? Was it hard? How did you know it was going to be the right chemistry with him?
It was hard to find Felix. We were looking around for a while, and then Thomas Lennon came in and just was sort of the character. I'm still not sure whether he was acting or whether it's just him, but he was Felix Unger, and he didn't even have to read. And then we just went to the network, and he didn't even have to read at the network. We just sat down with the network and talked for a while, and he had the part.
Having watched all of the other incarnations, are you paying tribute to them? Or are you doing an imitation? Are you trying to make it your own? How do you find that right tone?
The key to it is to make it your own, especially playing the part, especially playing Oscar. The key to it is to not do an impression of these guys because they were so wonderful. It'd be silly to do an impression, although I do, as an homage, do a Walter Matthau impression in the pilot. But the key to it is to bring as much of yourself as you can to the part. And in creating the show, we just tried to modernize it and try to tell different stories, like stories about what it's like for two divorced men to be dating in 2015 and what it's like to be kicked out by your wife, and how, with Tinder and all the different apps and all those things, and trying to modernize the show as much as possible.
I do hope at some point you get somebody in, like a Murray the Cop. That character needs to come around at some point, and maybe wasn't it Speed and the poker games? Maybe some of those guys can start popping up.
Yeah, we haven't had a poker night yet. We should.
Now, there have been a couple. I love the original show. I've got all the DVDs. I think it comes on Friday nights here on one of the older classic stations. And one of the last, it might have been the last episode of the season, The Audit Couple.
Right.
As soon as that episode started, I knew that was a tribute to an episode they had from way back. Although you kind of started with the punchline and then moved it beyond there. And I caught on to that right away. I love that.
Well, that was one of my favorite episodes of the show. We also had the lovely Lauren Graham on playing my wife, and she and I have great chemistry. So it was a really fun episode. I think our best episodes actually were the first one and the last one, which bodes well for season 2, I think.
I think so, and I was so glad to see her as your ex-wife. That again, I'll talk about chemistry. That it really laid itself out for that.
Well, the heart of the show, and certainly the heart of Oscar, is that he kind of longs for his ex-wife, and he sort of hides that by drinking and womanizing and gambling. But at the heart of Oscar, he sort of misses his ex-wife and misses being with her. So we needed to hire a heavy hitter to play that part, and we got one in Lauren Graham.
Somebody that you would imagine any guy would be longing after, even after they'd broken up.
Exactly.
Another one I really liked from the middle of the season was called The Wedding Deception. I thought really, to me, that was the most ensemble-y and put together episode, and just had so many. It almost felt like an episode of Frasier. It was one of those hijinks and just farce kind of an episode. Was that a fun one to do?
Well, yeah, it was really fun, and it was written by Joe Keenan, who was one of the Frasier writers. So you're very astute in your observation. It was a big farcical episode, and all of us had funny things to do in it. Lindsay Sloan, who plays Emily on the show, was hilarious, and Yvette Nicole Brown was really funny, and I got to do some funny things, and that's one of our favorite episodes too. It's a really good writing staff led by Bob Daly, who runs the room, and he hired some really good writers.
Well, that brings up a good point. When I saw the show was even announced, back months and months ago, And then as I watched the credits, I mean, you've got an all-star team behind the cameras too.
Yeah, it's really a group of writers that could all be running their own shows, and we're very lucky that they aren't. And most of them are back for season 2, and we've hired some new people that are great. I was just in the writers' room last week, and it seems like a really talented group. So I have really high hopes for where the direction of where the show is going. And Oscar's going to be a little bit more deep and a little bit more layered this year, and he's going to long for the one true love of his life instead of just having it be like the next girl of the week kind of show.
And as one of the producers, I mean, and I know you co-wrote the pilot, what are your responsibilities beyond what we see on screen?
Well, I was involved in everything. I was involved in casting and the sets and developing of the script and pitching the project, and I was involved from day one. So the only thing that, and I was even in the writer's room quite a lot last year. I won't do that as much this year. I think I put it more in Bob's hands, but I was involved in every aspect of it, including building the sets. I was around for not actually building it, but designing the sets.
Oh, come on. You pitched in a little.
Yeah, I had a hammer and a nail.
I love that. I love that apartment. That is such I mean, that's a wealthy apartment there though in New York.
Yes, but it has no fourth wall. So that's why it's so cheap.
Now, talk about, I mean, you talked about the ensemble, Wendell and Yvette and Dave Foley, and these are folks that just really know how to put a twist on a line.
Yeah, everybody's a real grown-up over there, and everybody really has had experience and knows their way around a joke. So that's why it was really important for us to not have it just be the Oscar and Felix show, but have it be a show that has a really good ensemble of people around us. And we use them really well, and we'll use them more in season 2.
Since you are a fan, I'm sure some of your other writers and so forth are fans of the originals. I mean, are you going to continue to mine little nuggets here and there from some of those plots?
Well, the funniest joke that we did in the pilot was taken right out of the play, which I probably can't even say on your interview show because it's a little naughty, but it was a Neil Simon joke that he wrote 40 years ago in the play, or 45 years ago. So I delivered that line and it got the biggest laugh of the whole show. So it stands the test of time, that's for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about your awards history. You were an awards website.
Sure.
4 Emmy nominations.
Yeah, no wins though, no wins. You predicted a win once, but I didn't get it.
Well, I'm not always right.
I wish you were right.
Well, I'm glad you paid attention that much. I can't remember what I've done from week to week. But that 8th season of Friends, I happened to come to a taping, my only taping ever of a Friends episode during that 8th season. That was the season that won Best Comedy Series. Jennifer won. You got your first nomination. I think Matt got his first nomination that season. Do you think that was the best season overall?
No, I don't necessarily think so. I think they were all really good. I think it was just a year that sort of fell into place. We were also the #1 TV show on the air that year. So it was the most successful year we had too, but it was the year that we won all the awards as well. And it was really gratifying to be nominated for Best Actor for that show because I had sat back and not been nominated 8 years in a row.
And you got 2 nominations for West Wing. We've had a lot of those people on with us in the past couple of years because they're all working steadily. Allison and Bradley and Richard and Martin Sheen and all of those folks. What was that experience like just being on that set?
It was great. I mean, it's a really talented group of people. I like to say that I did 237 episodes of Friends and got nominated once, and I did 3 episodes of The West Wing and got nominated twice.
Not bad. Not bad. Not a bad batting average at all over there. Yeah. Now, SAG Awards, you came right out of the chute. I think the very first SAG Awards were 95, and your ensemble won in 96. I think, well, three out of the 6 of you were there that night, right?
Yeah, that's right. We weren't all there, but I think I gave the acceptance speech and fumbled over it because we weren't used to winning anything. So I wish I could have that moment back.
Well, what you said a moment ago is it hurts in a way when you are so mega popular as you were, and we're talking about the Emmys again. I mean, sometimes the voters hold that against you in a way. They don't want to reward that.
I think people think I've won. That's what I think. I think people think that I've won one, which I haven't. I've never won anything.
Well, you're right, and that's why I always try to point those out when we do what we call Slugfest, where we're all chatting amongst ourselves. and they think a John Hamm has won before, or whoever it might be, just because they present a lot, or they're seen, or they're nominated every year, or whatever. That was one reason 2 years ago I've just made a huge play to just every week do an article or something on Bob Newhart, letting the voters know, hey, this man's been working in TV for 50 years. He's never won an Emmy before.
Never has won?
Well, he won 2 years ago after I don't know how much help we gave him, but he liked the article so much he came on and did an interview with us. And,
oh, good.
And it was just one of those things where I just said, the voters don't pay attention like a lot of us others do. They do think that certain people have won.
Yeah, I think that people think that I won for Friends when I did not. I'm not bitter about it.
No, it doesn't seem. Doesn't seem like you are. Maybe losing my train of thought there. Oh, I had to say one thing about one of your shows. It didn't make it too long, but I loved Mr. Sunshine. That was one of my favorite shows.
That was a really fun show to do. I co-wrote and created that show as well, and it was really fun from the ground up. We tried to do something a little different with that show, and it was about a guy who ran an arena, and Allison Janney was hilarious, and we had Nate Torrance was on the show, and we had a really good cast, and it was really fun to do.
It was really, Allison Janney had humorous moments on West Wing, but it was the first time, and now she's showing it on Mom every week, but it was the first time I could recall she was just knocked down funny. Just very, very hilarious.
Yeah, I knew how funny she was. That's why I wanted her for the part. We wrote the part for her.
Well, you said you've been in the writing room a little bit. Give us a little teaser here on Odd Couple season 2. Will it be in the fall when it comes back?
We don't know. It's a mid-season show, so we'll see. We don't even know when we'll be on, but we start shooting. Our first day is August 19th. We go back, and the only thing I can tell you is that sort of what I touched on earlier, which is that there'll be a lot of Felix and Emily stuff. That pairing is really funny, and two nerdy people trying to have a relationship. And Oscar is going to have a little bit more depth to him and some more layers, and you're going to get to see a little bit more of his pain and more heart. There'll be a lot more heart to Oscar Madison this year.
Well, when we saw those moments this year, and I saw all the episodes, that really resonates with me, and it did on the original series too. I think these guys get on each other's nerves in a way, but they really do like each other down deep, and no more so than I thought. Probably the most emotional moment to me of the whole season, but beyond relationship stuff, was when the two of you were laying on the floor after battling all day.
Oh yeah, that was a really fun scene to shoot because we couldn't move, so we were just lying on the ground.
Literally couldn't move.
Yeah, he had thrown his neck out and I had thrown my back out, so we were stuck on the ground. That was a really fun scene to do. And Thomas and I, again, are just very fortunate. We just happen to have good chemistry together, and we work really well together. And again, that's what The Odd Couple hinges on. So we got lucky.
Well, it does, and that's why the other incarnations have worked so well. The single funniest moment to me all season was the bird into the vacuum cleaner. I was laughing so hard on that. I didn't normally, things are telegraphed and you kind of know something's coming, but for some reason it just didn't occur to me. And then you went there. Well,
you really have watched them all. That's really impressive. Thank you.
I did, and not even just to get ready for an interview. I was enjoying it all season anyway. So
oh, good. Well, hopefully you'll like season 2 even more.
Thank you so much for doing this. I wanted to say hello to you forever, and this has been a real pleasure.
Well, thank you very much for your support over the years, too.